Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Mer's Podcasts. Today, we've got a very special guest. We're joined by the 2016 MasterChef Professionals winner, Gary MacLean. So, Gary, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. It's a pleasure.
No, not at all. My pleasure. It's nice to talk, isn't it? Nice to
I know.
For 9 out of 10 people, this is Gav's by far best guest. This is all he does. Loves
cooking.
I know.
Absolutely loves cooking.
Do you know what's really funny? Obviously, we'll go into more of the kind of journey, Gary, but my brother had watched it when it was live.
Yeah.
And he said, there's this guy from Glasgow and he's brilliant and he's on MasterChef. And I was like, all right, okay. I wasn't really bothered about cooking too much. It was probably, at that time anyway. And then I seen it come on Netflix a few months back. And I was like, I'm going to watch it. And then the first season, it was season 9, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The first season that came on was your one. I thought, oh, fuck.
Yep.
I already know who wins it, but I don't care. I'm watching it anyway.
It's amazing the amount of people from all over the place that are watching that missed it completely. And then I'm still getting the same kind of messages I got in 2016 where people are jumping off the couch and crying and all that. People, and they don't realise it's 2016 until the very last shots when, you're holding the trophy up. MasterChef Champion 16. So, it's a great show. I absolutely love it. So it's the reason I did it. I mean, I'm a big MasterChef nerd. And the professional one, the vast majority of chefs out there really like it because it's got a wee bit of everything. It's a bit of a roller coaster, the skills tests, and then you get the kind of chefs that mess up, and all of that. So there's loads to watch. I genuinely look forward to watching it every year. So
I find that it's the harshest thing on the telly.
Well, they say
Simon Cowell, man.
The year I did it, there was a big story that the Observer did in London, and said that MasterChef Professionals was the cruelest reality show on earth.
I think it is.
Because things like, X Factor and Britain's Got Talent and all that, these people aren't doing what they're up there doing for a living. And you've got these chefs of various levels all getting flung into this pot together, and the pressures, the way it's filmed is the way you see it. That skills test at the start, which is my favourite bit as a watcher, and the chefs come in and they're absolutely terrified. But it's set up to be terrified because it's your first day there. You do that. You've not done any filming, you've not met any of the judges, you've not seen the studio, and you're in a wee room and you pick a number out of a hat, and whatever your number is.
Oh, right.
So there's 6 of you in that sort of first bit. And if you're number 6, you're sitting there for 6 hours. One by one, everybody disappears and never to return because they go do their bit. And then they put you in
a post-interview.
You're away in a different room and you don't come back. So you're left sitting. So I was number 4. So I had about 4 hours of sitting eating and crisps, waiting to go in. And then you get pushed in. I get pushed in with an apology from a young guy on the set. He just pushes you through the doors, and there you're faced with 50 people in front of you. And that's
50 people.
That's the first time you see. That's the first time you see the judges or any food or the studio or anything.
Because it's bizarre with the skills test. Because I actually watched Celebrity MasterChef before I seen the professionals. So I'd watched it, and obviously the skills test is like identify a shallot, identify a bit of garlic, and you're like, this is. So I thought, I wonder how they're going to do professionals, and it's literally like you've got 15 minutes to make this, and you're like, go.
But I dip in and out in other ones, but I do prefer. I really look like
that's your craft, isn't it? The professionals.
You're seeing other chefs, and before you go on it, you're sitting on the couch shouting at the telly, saying how the hell did they?
Why are you putting that way?
but as a lecturer, and it's half the reason I ended up on the show. We use MasterChef Professionals as a teaching tool. So the idea is that the students and everything are watching it. Lecturers are watching it, and particularly again the first sort of halfway through the skills tests and stuff. And you'll get the students coming in the following one. They'll say, "Did you see?" Because they always bum the chefs up. They stand there with the hero shots, and they're standing in front of a beautiful Georgian mansion where they work, and they pop them in front of a bit of fish. They have to fill it, and they can't do it. Whereas our first year students, that's those basic skills that we're teaching them every day. So they can bone out a rabbit, they can bone out some fish, they can dress a crab, and all these sorts of things. And what it does for us in education, it reinforces the reason why they're there in the first place, why they're giving up 4 years of their life to learn how to cook and get those foundations right. And then they can then take those skills forward and become, you know, whatever they want to be from it. So it's a great tool for us.
For those of us who not only is Gary like the 2016 professional MasterChef winner, he's also the senior lecturer at City of Glasgow College.
Well, I'm no longer senior lecturer. I'm executive chef, so I've got a different kind of role.
Similar?
But I don't have full class contact. In a normal kind of pre or post COVID, I would do a lot of stuff with students, a lot of events, and it would be kind of showcasing the college and obviously looking at the business side of the sort of business side of the college, because it's still got to operate and it's still got to have a profile and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of moved on to that. So which was a wee bit bittersweet because I really loved the teaching, but you know, before COVID, I did still get a lot of interaction, a lot of being able to offer a lot of opportunities to students. You know, one of the last things I did before lockdown was I took a bunch of students to Cuba. So I get asked to do a dinner in Cuba, and I had a bunch of students who helped as well my events. You know, real hard slog Saturdays doing cook skill classes and, you know, Valentine's night and all these sort of events that we do. And these students are volunteering, and I got there was 3 kind of core students that were that never missed anything. So I pulled them up into the office and I said, look, we've got this VIP dinner. All right. I says, yeah, I need you to block off whatever the date was in the diary. Yeah, chef, no bother, we'll be there. You know, we're always at it. And I said, it's an embassy. It's a British embassy. And one of them said, is it in Edinburgh? I says, no, it's in Havana. So wow, you know, man. So there's loads of different ways of getting students involved. But I've had them on TV shows. I've had them in India. Every year I go to India and take some students. We do a lot in America and stuff like that. So the life as a student at the City of Glasgow College is a good place to be.
I was going to say, when do you take the application forms? Because I
know. Part-time applications are on now, so you can do some twilight classes.
The good thing is there is Zoom, so good.
No, we're hoping. I think everyone's hoping that we get back to some face-to-face and yeah.
100%. So how did your whole career come about then? How did it all start? Did you always know you wanted to be a chef? Or
as soon as I found out somebody would pay you to cook, that was when I decided. Always messed about with food in the house. You know, growing up in the sort of 80s in Glasgow, you know, it was and I lived in quite a tough bit of Glasgow. You know, so food.
Where did you stay? Where were you stay?
I was in Knightswood.
Oh, all right, okay.
I'm from Chapel.
Well, I'm officially at Shafton. I come from, which is the bottom end. And before that, I lived in Temple. So I moved about 5 streets away, but it didn't get any better. But as I say, you grow up and you know you get great mates, and you know you don't really notice there's no difference between it because that's where you are. So that's where you grow up. So, but I was always interested in food as a kid. I always messed about, and when I went to high school, I was rubbish at school right throughout. To be honest, I had no interest in it. And again, I think it was just I wasn't any different from any of my pals. But I did home economics.
Something at school that takes a passion. I feel like I'm learning that from talking to so many people.
100%, and I was really lucky that I would go from the English and maths classes and the science classes and everything else, and I'd be the worst student in the class in every respect, behaviour, everything. And then I went into home economics, and I was the best in the class. And the teacher spoke to me like I was a normal human being. Yeah. And it was my home economics teacher that said to us, I must have been about 13 or something, said, you know, have you ever thought of being a chef? And I know it sounds crazy now, but back then I remember thinking, you know, what is a chef? Because back then there was no chefs on telly. You know, there was no celebrity chefs. There was none of that had started. There was nothing at all to sort of, for a young person to kind of say, well, that's a job that I could maybe do. And then I remember just thinking, if someone can pay me for something I love to do, excellent, that's me. And at 15, I got my first job, and I basically, dare I say, I dubbed skill for a year because I worked.
Where were you working? What was your first job?
My first job was in the Trossachs, in a hotel in Kinlochard called Forest Hills.
Wow.
Again, I had the long term 15, and I'd get flung straight in. I was boning out deers and day two and all that sort of stuff. So the food, and I just thought that was normal. You're standing filleting wild salmon, and thinking back on it, it was such an amazing place. The fridge full of grouse, and and it was just normal.
No whiskey, Gavin.
Oh, there was. I mean, it was incredible place.
So see that whole sort of process. Do you think what would you think people would respond to nowadays? So somebody was 15 and they went into that environment. Would they go, no, that's not for me? Or do you think it's just down to the person?
No, I think it's
that now, can you?
It's definitely down to the person. But back then, and I think probably even up to the last sort of 10 years, as a young person, you're guided by your boss. You're guided by the person above you, whether that's chef de partie or whether it's somebody higher up in the supermarket than you. You're guided by them, so you're guided by what's going on. So working a 15-hour day was a normal. 16-hour day was normal. Coming in your day off and doing 15 hours a day was normal. But I think young people now are smarter than certainly I was and my generation was, because they've got a mobile phone, and they know that there's more to life than work. There's opportunities, and so which isn't a bad thing. But I mean, we get some incredible young people and young students, and that are you look at them and you think, bloody hell, you've just got it, and it's amazing to see.
When I was a wee guy, my dad was a head chef and stuff, and being in that environment as a wee, literally, it must have been about 7.
Where did he work? I might know.
You probably his name's Kenny Keegan. It's the same as me, Kenny Keegan.
Oh, is it? I didn't realise.
Aye. He was a head chef at, where was he? The Oak Tree Inn, Beach Tree Inn. What's the big hotel, Gav, that just gets set on fire and the boy gets sentenced? It was
Cameron House.
He was a head chef there years ago. He passed away years and years and years ago.
Right.
But seeing your dad go for just a nice, lovely guy to get into a kitchen was. It was the lights the lights in the kitchen. It was unbelievable to see somebody go from being so mellow to up to high dome.
Angry chef.
Whoa!
It took me years to get away from that, and I kind of, when I was a young head, I was a head chef at 21. I ran two really nice restaurants at 21.
Wow.
And I was a horrible human being. My nickname was Hitler. And, I was punching holes in walls and making grown men cry and all that. And thinking back on it, it was a defence, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was 21. I was running 2 restaurants. And I was working 18 hours a day and 6, sometimes 7 days a week, sleeping in the restaurant because you didn't have time to go home. And you're bawling and shouting at people, because as a young manager, you don't have the experience to be able to say, do you know what? I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was doing there. Because you think, and I'm the first to admit, even now, I've been in catering for 35 years. I'm the first one to put my hand up and say I made a pig's ear of that, or is anybody got a good idea? Is it, and I'm the first person to take on advice from others, regardless of who they are or where they've came from.
That's really funny you say that, because like when you watch, I think you'll know yourself as well, when you watch MasterChef, you can kind of gather people's personalities. Obviously, they don't show everything that goes on, but you see a lot about people's lives and the way they act when they get given criticism and stuff. And
the reality is, it's how they're portrayed as well.
Aye.
And if you're
you
smart,
can make anybody look good.
I had done a bit of telly before MasterChef. I was on STV2 a lot. I used to do live telly, which is quite tough. It's a different kettle of fish completely. But my main objective going onto that show was not to look daft, and that was it, because I knew my kids were going to be watching it, and I didn't want to say anything stupid, and I didn't. And when you're getting interviewed and stuff like that, there's leading questions, like who's your main competitor, who do you think you're going to win, and all that. And I always had an answer that didn't mean that I was going to win. Any of the chefs that go on that show, and it's very much the early rounds. They're in there, it's like a pissing competition. You know, they're trying to boast. They're sitting there, I've done this and done that. And I'm a lecturer at college, so I was always low key. I always just kept quiet. But little did they know that, you know, I'd been, you know, Young Chef of the Year and I'd won, you know, dozens of competitions in the past. I never mentioned it.
Did they know that you'd been on telly before?
No, nobody knows it. No? Nobody knows anything. And again, at the early rounds, no one's really that interested in you. They're only interested, dare I say it, in themselves a wee bit. So I never really. I was a lot older than the vast majority of them. You know, I was probably talking more with the cameraman than I was with the other competitors. You know,
I think you look that much older than me. I think you look all right.
I'm 50.
Nearly 50.
Oh, there's no way. There's no way you'd have known my old man. I think he'd have been 60 something. I mean,
but what was I going to say there? The process of applying for MasterChef, how does that go?
I was going back to being 21 and shooting.
On you go, mate.
Just because I'm thinking, you just skip everything.
I've skipped about 15 years.
Even going back before you were 21, did you go to the City of Glasgow College to learn your trade?
It's a great question. Yes, I did.
Wow, that's amazing.
I've been part of that college my whole career. I started there again back in the 80s. There was no. There wasn't any full-time students. Most people went to college part-time as part of their work, as part of their continued sort of learning from work. You would go and get your papers. So I did twilight classes, 2 classes from 2 till 9 a week for 8 years. So I went right through 8 years I was there.
Oh, man.
Because you're only doing half the time a full-timer where they do it 4. So there is a level.
What's the hardest thing about learning to be a chef? Is it dealing with the carcasses? Is it?
Nah, none of that. No, none of that.
Oh, is that easy?
No, none of that matters.
Lump of deer in front of me and
none of that. None of that matters. Surviving is the big thing. I remember being a young chef and working in really good restaurants. It's that not making a mistake. You know, it's making sure that you're better than someone else because someone else will get it before you, and that's the bottom line. You know, as long as you know the worst in the kitchen that particular table or that particular day or that particular week, you know, it's just a matter of survival, and that's all it is.
See, when you went from, so you joined the Forest Hills at 15, and then from then to being 21 and a head chef, so you come in as a common chef, I'm assuming, and then how long do you stay in each sort of department?
You know what, you should stay as long as you can. That's my advice to young people, is don't do what I did. But again, back when it was a funny time in the industry. There wasn't a lot of, but there's never a lot of chefs, but a lot of people were leaving the industry. Food had changed. So the generation of chefs before me were used to putting food on silvers, you know, in the posh restaurants, and the waiter would serve the food. But the advent of Anton Mosman and the sort of nouvelle cuisine, the chefs were having to put food on plates. And I remember listening to the old boys that first, when I was 15, saying, I'm no my job, all that sort of stuff. So, and a lot of people at that time as well, it must have been the boom of, I need to Google it, but I reckon it was the boom of Aberdeen at that point as well, kind of 1987, 88.
The oil.
And everybody moved to the holy grail of the oil rigs. You know, and there was talk of, you know, you're just working with lobster and fillet steak all day, there's no budget. And, you know, that was the kind of tales that I was told. But what it did was it gave a lot of young chefs opportunity. It gives a lot of young chefs that leg up, so to speak, to fill those gaps at a higher level. And food was changing that much, you know. But again, just looking back at the food always changes.
See when people are going through their kind of their training, sort of like proper training, what was it called?
Apprenticeship, but that's not a thing.
No.
Is that a thing for chefs?
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah, you can.
Is that a thing for chefs?
You can be an apprentice chef. Yeah, you can go through an apprenticeship, or you can go down the college route, or you can go down I'll just figure it out myself. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say was, is it always kind of classic training? That's the word I was looking for. Is it always kind of French cuisine that they tend to go to, or
back then it was? You know, my final exam was written in French and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Which was a real struggle for me because I struggled writing English. But, not anymore. The whole French thing has been dropped. It's been dropped for quite a long time. I think about 10, 15 years since we started teaching students. But the fundamentals of cookery hasn't changed. You know, the fundamentals of what happens to a piece of meat when you put it in a frying pan, or how do you look after a vegetable and all that sort of stuff. And the way that we teach it's ever evolving as well. You know, we provide SQA, so Scottish qualifications, and we have the ability to kind of change what we teach as long as we cover the guidelines for those particular units. So it's really, really flexible, and it changes quite often. So as we bring through younger lecturers who are, you know, superstars, absolute superstar chefs, they're bringing through new methods, new technique, new views, and obviously things, you know, like the rise in vegans and the rise in sustainability and all these other things have to come in. So it has to be an ever-changing. It has to be an ever-changing.
Prospectus, aye.
Yeah, most definitely. Although the certificate they get won't be a million miles away from the certificate I got. It's just changing within the times.
Modernising it, really, innit? I like to say, with the times.
And we claim we want to be world class, and we want to make sure that any student that comes out from our college with that qualification actually knows what they're doing. Yeah. So they're carrying our reputation.
Your
with
torch. What was your reputation now, surely, man? You must have a statue, you, have they not?
There's a big picture up on the wall.
You might no. We need a statue.
It's on Cathedral Street. It's about 20 foot.
All right,
that's fine. That's all I need to know. As long as you get a statue in it.
I know. I'm not statuesque.
Oh, you most certainly are. I was watching you on YouTube earlier on. So, what was your final exam for City Glasgow College different from what it is now, or is it still the same sort of? Or is there a final exam?
I did it.
Aye.
I did City and Guilds, which was different. I mean, I did a thing called 706.
That's the thing with all trades, the City Guilds.
Aye, I mean, it's quite a well-known, quite respect. I mean, all they are is an awarding body, the same as the SQA, but it's. I think our exams. I think our exams back in the day were harder. The pass rate was really, really small. You know, to get through an exam back then was really, really tough. These days, you know, it's a combination of stuff. There's continued assessment, there's folio work and all that sort of stuff. And they only ever really do an exam until when they get into kind of HNC is the first actual practical exam they do. So but again, that's gradually changed. That's been gradually changing over the years, where they don't want a student getting penalised because they're rubbish at exams.
Yeah.
You know, and to be fair, I do agree.
I get it. I'm more a practical learner.
We get quite a lot of students that can crumble in an exam, and we know they would walk. You know,
everything.
They've got great skills. They've been turning up. They've got the knowledge, but when they put under that kind of pressure, but no, it's education's an exciting place. I love it.
It's ever changing, man.
Yeah, it has to.
So moving on so you're 21, you were making old men cry and this and that. How did you progress from there then? What did you then move on somewhere else?
What happened? I was always hardworking, always organised, always ambitious, always willing to take on this big next role. And I was running a restaurant in Bearsden.
Right.
And the owner had another place, and there was an issue in the kitchen or whatever else. I took that kitchen on as well. So I ran both kitchens, and I kind of found I had a bit of a skill with people. I had a bit of a skill with being able to manage people, even from a distance. You know, that I didn't need to stand over them. I was quite good at picking teams. I was quite good at building teams. So I did that for a few years, and then I got headhunted by Glasgow Museums to open the Gallery of Modern Art. So it was about 96. And again, I'd been working in two really small restaurants, 30 covers, really fine dining, and I ended up taking on this kind of council building. So I had a massive staff, brand new £1 million kitchen, all that sort of stuff, at the TV in and the Queen in and all that sort of stuff. And
did you meet Lizzie?
I did.
She's keeping well.
96. She looks the same.
I bet you she does, man.
I mean, as a chef, you get to meet loads of amazing people. It's just another one of the wee sides of having that kind of job. But after about 8 weeks running the Gallery of Modern Art, I ended up running the Borough Collection as well.
All right.
And then I started moving in to help out with the sort of VIP stuff, you know, Kelvin Grove and City Chambers and all that. So I did that for a couple of years, which was good. Feeding, you know, royalty and prime ministers and all that sort of stuff. But probably the biggest buzz was doing functions in Kelvin Grove. You know, it was because it was a place I always went to as a kid. You know, I was fascinated by the building, and standing there my first night feeding 500 people was amazing. You know, a real career high.
Some people, like, being Gav, quite like football, and when you hear players talking about their football career at that point, they never really appreciate it in a way. But did you always make sure you took that moment to step back and go, wow, like, look what you've achieved here?
I always remember the wee guy that came from Shafton.
So you're very self-aware.
When I'm standing in, you know, a millionaire's house in the Upper West Side doing a charity dinner, and I know where I am, I appreciate where I am. If I'm wandering the streets of Calcutta, it still amazes me.
That's brilliant, man.
You know, it's and as I say, life's all about these experiences, I think, and just getting off your backside and doing something.
Yeah,
you know, you've got to make stuff happen.
I've got 4 ovens, man.
I was literally about to say, speaking of £1 million kitchens, that's a fairly...
That's probably up there, isn't it? It needs to be up there.
It's not
if that's not $1 million, it's just a 10 rafa or something.
No, not quite.
Need paintings on the wall. They've got a fair few, Bob, and all.
They've all been done by kids and stuff like that.
That's brilliant. They look class.
Brilliant.
So one of them was done in a secure unit for kids that are kids in trouble. Aye.
You do a lot for charities, didn't you? You do quite a bit for charities.
I do most of my week's charity work, if truth be told.
Wow.
With Scotland's national chef role, I've volunteered quite a bit of my time to that, and I get support from the college with that as well. So when people chat the door, and as long as it's supporting food education or kids cooking at any level. And for me, you know, going into something like a secure unit, you can spend a day with someone and you can turn their life around with food. You know, you can give them something that they've never had before as a skill and a wee bit of pride in what they can do. So I think it's a great medium for changing people.
Like, everybody's on the same level when it comes to when you're going
it's a massive level.
You're at the same level, and you're kind of going, right, well, we're just going to do this, and we're going to focus on this. It's
food's
I found.
Food's
I get
amazing.
taught how to roll sushi, how to make sushi.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I felt I was back at school, man. The women that taught me was amazing, and I was 3 hours. I was able to roll mine sushi. And
well, my first TV gig in Scotland was a little news piece or a little outside broadcast where they came to my evening class where I was doing sushi, and what happened? Long story short, what happened is I was teaching. The whole class was there, but the reporter was there, and we were showing him how to do sushi. And we got to the end, we were cutting the sushi and then putting the wasabi on. And the boy said he was from Orkney or something, the boy, and a young guy, and he says, "Oh, what's wasabi?" I says, "Oh, it's really nice. Pile it on."
Oh no!
He took this big massive mouthful of sushi on live telly. Couldn't speak. Face. The cameraman's buckled, and
great TV.
The very next day, the producer phoned us and says, "Look, we want you on the show." So that was me.
Well done, man.
I did the show about 50 times after that. But
oh my god, that's amazing.
But them's the breaks.
I remember it was a Cars movie. No, it's just it's a movie because I've got a wee girl, man. She's 2, and we just watch Disney all day. And the mad mater guy, the wee pickup truck. Thinks it's ice cream. He's like, more. So don't be shy, you know that.
Wasabi?
Aye. So funny. God. Just because you know what's coming.
Not advisable, but Gary. So, how long did it take you to become full time as a college lecturer? Did you? Am I right in saying it took quite a while? You started off doing night classes, or?
I started after I graduated. It was about a year after. And my boss, Willie McCurrock, who's a bit of a legend, OBE, he just got his OBE last year.
Wow, not a bit of a legend then, is he?
No, he's
You want to play him down now? Sorry.
He's not bad. No, he's a great guy. He's done a lot for a lot of people. He phoned us up and says, look, I need cover this Wednesday. Do you fancy doing it? Somebody was in the sick or somebody at the dentist or whatever. And I says, I would love to, because I always got on well at college, always got on well with everybody. And ended up doing that Wednesday class for 13 years.
Wow. So 13 years?
So the 13 years between that and that, obviously my jobs and everything changed. I was running 80 restaurants at one point. But I'd be going 80? For the... I used to, again, jumping from museums, I then moved into being executive chef for big companies. So I would open restaurants all over the country. So I ended up opening about 80 places. But I used to go for these big jobs, and I really wanted the jobs and everything else. But I used to say, if you get any questions, I always used to say, I can't work a Wednesday.
Oh, wow, man.
I teach.
That's amazing.
But what that gave me, because obviously as my career moved and I became like a big boss with a lot of responsibility and big budgets and all the sort of pressures that job entails, I used to go to college and I was just a part-time lecturer. So I was I was bottom rung, and I would just go in and I would just love my day with the students and just try and, do my best with them. And it was like a day off. It was better than a day off.
Oh, is it? Didn't get, I was going to say kept your feet in the ground, but it seemed
my feet are always in the ground.
That's because gravity works really well with everybody. But I know what you mean. You seem quite just a normal, cool guy.
My thing is, I don't think I would have taken the day off work if I wasn't going to college.
So
it was enough of a distraction, and it was a different social circle as well. It was lecturers, it was educators. I was meeting some great young chefs coming through. It was also good for recruitment as well. So I used to see,
you pick people out.
People would come say, you need a job, and I was running, half of Glasgow at one point. So I was always looking for good people. But alongside that, when I was with G1, I started an apprenticeship program, and we got about 80 young people through that as well. So all the big name chefs that are now in Glasgow running the good places are probably apprentices that I started when I was there.
Taught by you.
So maybe not taught by me, but taught within the sort of realms of what I was doing.
Do you know that's like, see, listening to your career, and then when you watch MasterChef, it's like, and now we've got college lecturer Gary MacLean. And you're like, aye, but what about all those? Fucking hell.
Do you know what? I didn't even mention it in my interviews. I applied 3 years in a row and I never mentioned any of that before.
Right. Go on and explain why you ended up doing it. Did you do it because you're like, these fucking chefs are coming in?
No,
all three crowds are getting this right.
What happened was, in 2010, I started college full time and I started running restaurants part time. So I was running about 6 restaurants. I was in college full time. And again, it's always looking for that next stage. So I thought, right, I want to start the competition circuit, because competitions within college is huge. It's a badge of honour for a lot of colleges. So I went to Willie and said, Willie, I fancy doing some comps. And he says, look, I'll back you in any comp you want to do. So in about 6 years, we won about 20 national competitions. Jesus. So we became the college to beat in the UK and abroad. We were going abroad and, we were really trouncing other colleges. And it just became part of the DNA of the college, and still is. I mean, the competition is so important. And it's continued to this day, albeit it's now getting run by some of the students that have now become lecturers, that have now become the competition coaches.
Yeah.
And they're much better than me at it. They've just carried that on. But again, going back to, we used to use MasterChef as a kind of training tool. The students would then be asking me, look, you're good at competition. You can train us to win competitions, but can you do it yourself? And obviously my own kids were saying to me, Dad, why are you not on that show when I'm shouting at the telly and all that? And I said, right, I'll apply. And really nervously, I applied. And so I stuck my application. It's a kind of 10-page application. You put in a 5-course menu and all that sort of stuff. And you get a couple of phone calls. And then I got an interview through in Edinburgh, a face-to-face. And I went in, I had the most amazing interview ever. And I came out before my wife and I says, I think I'm in. I says, I had a great interview. Couldn't have been any better. And the way it works in MasterChef is they tell you if we don't get back in touch by the 5th of May, you're not on.
Yeah.
Don't call us, we'll call you. So the 5th of May came and went, and I never got called. I thought, bloody hell. And I had a year of reflection. What did I do wrong? How did I not get on? So I thought, right, I was determined to get on. And I kind of thought to myself that I must have went in too smart. I went in with a suit on, a nice suit, polished shoes, a nice shirt. And I thought, I've just been too
serious.
Too serious for this. So the following year I went back and had a pair of sannies on, which I borrowed from one of my kids because I don't own a pair of sannies.
Because you're just always in suits.
and a Star Wars t-shirt. And I went in.
Is that the one you had on the other night?
No, I've got Hunters on. No, I've got Hunters.
Okay.
And I went in and I had the worst interview ever. I had these two young lasses interviewing me, and there was no rapport, there was no chat, there was nothing. And I walked out and I phoned the wife. I said, Sharon, I think I'm in here. I said, they must think I'm a dunderhead. I might get in as one of the kind of. I might get in as one of the cannon fodder.
You're good for TV. Good for TV.
He's an idiot. Get him on. And so again, 4th of May or something like that, and nothing, absolutely nothing. So that was that, and I thought, you know what, I've had enough. I'm not doing it again. I can't handle the rejection. So I remember I was in class, and one of my students says, "Chef, are you applying for MasterChef again this year?" And I says, "Nah, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to bother." He says, "Today is the last day of applications." And I thought, "Nah, I'm not going to do it." And I sent everybody away in a break, and I went back to my office. And I thought, you know what, I'll just apply.
Just before you go on, your 2 previous applications, did you put just chef lecturer, or did you get the full booner?
They're not really asking for anything like that. They're asking for your philosophy and food and your faith. They're not looking for CVs. Right. So they don't really know you. They don't really know you. And I stuck the year before's application, and they just changed the date. So next day I got the interview. I went right through the whole thing again. I got back to that interview in Edinburgh, and that's the final stage, or one of the final stages. So I thought through it, and I went smart casual. So I was
smasual.
And a brilliant interview, and I nearly missed. In fact, anybody that was coming from Glasgow that day didn't get an interview because there was a crash on the M8, and I was driving along. I left the college, I was going along the M8, and I used Google Maps on my phone, and Google Maps flashed up and says, go the M80, M80 and then the M9, the road's blocked. And it was completely shut for hours and hours. So I went the long way and managed to get there. But we twist of fate. And the very next day they phoned me back and said, right, we're going to start doing police checks, credit checks, police check, credit check, and social media. All your social media gets checked to make sure you're not an idiot.
Aye. Makes sense.
So, man.
So that was the
food with flamethrowers, man.
No, but if somebody, you know what it's like if somebody's some sort of racist or some sort of whatever.
Idiot.
You know,
especially if you go far in the competition and win it, and then some people bigs it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the most important thing with that whole show is the protection of the brand. So you're not allowed to use MasterChef on anything, so. That's a trophy there on my windowsill.
Oh, nice.
You're not allowed to use MasterChef. We need to edit this out now, man. Can't use it.
Beside the bleach.
Beside the bleach.
That's amazing.
He bleaches it every morning.
He's going to get it for us. Let's see it.
No wonder.
I know. Oh,
some size.
That's a good size.
Oh,
that's amazing. Tremendous.
Big.
Absolutely tremendous.
No, it's not. Well,
I think it's quite big.
Yeah.
Head sized. Aye.
Oh, that's amazing. Pull your headphones out again.
So when you get to your application's accepted, and you obviously explained about the skills test moving in, and you're saying you're sitting there, you know, there's 6 people, you could be waiting 6 hours, you were the 4th person. Do you remember the skill, like what you made in the skills test? Because you had quite a good one, didn't you?
Aye. I had neck of lamb,
right?
Which is my favourite cut. And it was,
perfect.
There was a bit of butchery skill and stuff like that. So, but looking at most of them that year, I would have been okay with any of them. And it was the only thing that kind of worried me because I was about 10 weeks knowing I was going on before I went on, because I was a later heat and stuff like that. I used to lie in bed at night and I used to worry about what don't I know? What can you give me that I don't know? And I think sea urchins was the only thing that kept me awake at night. So
sea urchins?
Sea urchins, just in the I'd never worked with sea urchins, so I watched a bit of YouTube on sea urchins, and the off chance I got one, but I didn't get one. So
amazing.
Sorry, Gav. I was just going to say, on the off chance, did you already have that kitchen that you've got now before you went on? Because you could cook it in the world in that kitchen.
No, I never. No, I didn't. No. That's what happens when you win MasterChef.
They send you 4 ovens and lovely push action drawers.
MasterChef don't get you in. And that's all you get from MasterChef.
I know. I found that really.
It's the same as the Bake Off, innit? You get nothing for the Bake Off.
So
when you win the Bake Off, you get action.
I know. I'll give that a go. I'm not much a baker, but I'll give it a go.
Well,
don't know if it'd be cheating.
Yeah, pastry was pretty good actually. And
pastry is good. My pastry's all right.
But see the moment when you walk into the studio. So you're saying you obviously get a bit of a push for the young lad behind the cameras, and then when you walk in and see Marcus, Monica, and Greg, do you just instantly shit yourself?
But luckily, when I went in, I saw the neck of lamb first.
Wow!
Oh, there you go.
I saw the ingredient first, and I saw
swaggering.
Easy
beauty. Aye. I was hoping for an animal. I was hoping for something that showed a bit of skill, boning out or trimming or filleting or something like that. So,
and one of the things that they say. I've read quite a few contestants that have been on. They say like when what you see, obviously it's an hour episode, but you're filming for a full day, like 8 hours, 9 hours, and it's like it must be so draining.
Oh, you're shattered. And the other side of it as well is you're living in a travel lodge.
Oh no!
And you have to check out that travel lodge every day. So every day you're leaving the travel lodge for an empty room, then you go back to a different room. So you can't even settle, and then you're living in the East End of London. So you end up, when how it works. See the first few times you go, and the first time I went, my flight was delayed. So I flew down the night before or the day before, and my flight got delayed, and my flight never left till 1 a.m. or 12 at night or something like that from Glasgow, and ended up sitting next to a famous singer. What was his name? My wife's a big fan of the guy.
You're me over the back, Gary.
He's a kind of techno guy.
Scottish guy.
Aye. Nightcrawler.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
No. Too young. You're too young.
Sorry.
MD that ever went to a rave knows Nightcrawler. But anyway, he was sitting next to us. Chatting away, and I thought, wait till I tell my wife this. But by the time I got to my hotel, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and
you've put yours in before that, but
I know. Okay, I'm still putting yours in, and then we had to be in the studio for 7 a.m. So I'd only had a couple hours sleep, and obviously I was in contact with the production crew. Now saying, look, worst case scenario is I'll hire a car and I'll get there for 7. I'll just drive through the night. But eventually I got there. So, but they all knew I was
were you ever scared not to go to sleep? Were you ever like that? If I fall asleep just now, I'll not get up.
Nah.
No, I would go like that.
I set lots of alarms.
Multiple alarms.
The worst thing is when you're traveling. When you're traveling and you're having to get up at 4 a.m. for a flight, and I've only ever missed one flight. So I had an event in Jersey, and me and the wife. But we're both going. I was at the Jersey Style Awards. I was one of the judges for that, and me and my wife were out the night before in Glasgow with a couple of pals, and we thought we were fine. And then we woke up, and it's that mad panic, phoning taxis trying to get to the. So, and you ended up driving and parking in the Deer car park and ran in, and your flight's not on the board, and that was that. So you make that kind of sorry walk back to the desk to say, look, I need another flight to Jersey, regardless of how much it costs. I need to be in Jersey. And there was a flight a couple of hours later, and it cost about £14. So
did it?
Actually, do you know what? It actually cost me more in the car park than it did buying new flights.
You stole the words out of my fair. I was going to say, I bet you it cost you more to go in the fucking expensive car park.
I think the car park was about 40 quid or something.
Oh, it's so expensive. Like, that's
ridiculous.
So you're still doing competitions and you're still judging them, aren't you? I'm just looking at your Facebook.
I'm judging a lot.
How does that work? Your Zoom?
You know, are you looking at India? Are you looking at the India competition?
I was looking at the biggest culinary competition for students in the world goes ahead despite pandemic. 50 countries, 24 time zones. Some of the world's biggest chefs. How does that work?
So I'm normally a competitor in that. So I'm normally the coach for Scotland, and one of my students is the competitor. But because the college was shut, we had to pull out early January, and we do really well. This is our 4th year at that competition, and we finish in the top 5 every year. And we had to pull out late, and then they asked me to judge it. It was actually really good how they done it. You know, Zoom's. You know, we're all learning how to use it and stuff like that. I mean, I was judging 7 countries. So Turkey and where was I judging? Turkey, Nepal, India. That kind of middly bit. You know, they're about 5 or 6 hours in front. So I was judging them, and I had a room for each country. There was 4 cameras in each country, and I had tasting judges in country, and I had 4 other judges helping me on Zoom from all over the world. So it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Good experience,
I think it's good that they've tried to keep pressing ahead, but I think your palate is by far more travelled than most people's that's going to try the food.
The reality is, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have been judging. So I wouldn't have been there.
That's true.
I would have been in India.
Competing.
I would have been a coach.
A coach.
But you know, the big thing about the competition, this particular competition in India, the food is secondary to the experience and pulling the world together. You know, I've sat in, you know, in the company, and you see 5 or 6 students sitting together, and you've got Russia, you've got Palestine, you've got America, you've got Israel, all sitting chatting each other up, all trying to get them. Honestly, and just see that whole kind of bringing the world together. It's unbelievable. I've never seen it like
for as much as it might not be about that experience, but it's good to keep people.
And I think they talk about the spirit of the competition and stuff like that, and that's what it was. But I'll be honest, the food was the best I've seen it.
Really?
Best I've seen it this year is and obviously students are in their own environment and everything else, but it was the best food I'd ever seen in this competition.
See if it was me, I'd be doing everything to go, how can I cheat here? Like, how can I cheat? Can I get a 3D printer? Can I get a 3D printer to print the food and make it look really good?
This particular competition, they tell you what they want, they give you the ingredient lists, so it's all about skills and organisation, and so everybody was cooking the same.
Yeah, see, just going back to the MasterChef sort of journey, see, one of the ones that always kind of gets me is, see, when you do the kind of mass catering, when you go into somewhere, you know, like a big corporation, and you need to do the mass catering.
Yeah.
That always, I know I'm not a chef, obviously, but that always petrifies me. Obviously, you've got a good pedigree, you've got a good background.
That must have been your wheelhouse, man. It must have been easy peasy for you,
Well, we never, I mean, the professional show doesn't do the mass thing. The amateurs do a kind of mass catering thing. The professionals do, when they've got 10 contestants left, they split them into 2 groups of 5. And we do like a VIP dinner for about 7 or 8 people, but we have to work as a team to do it.
Yeah.
That's better TV.
My part in that was the French ambassador's residence. We did a dinner.
So it was. That's right.
So, but I think for the in saying that, they changed it, didn't they? They did a kind of I think a couple of years after me, they did a street food thing. I remember that
was popular at the time, isn't it? Whatever's popular at the time.
I think they just keep changing it up. It's an amazing crew behind the scenes.
Were you on pastry in that? Am I right in saying? No,
I did. It was there was 5 A's. 2 did the starter, 2 did the main course, and I did the pastry.
I thought that.
And I got tricked into doing the pastry.
Did you?
How?
Well, I did chocolate fondant, and you should never ever do chocolate fondant on the telly. It's an absolute. No one's ever done it. It's always a disaster. So the idea is, it was 5.
Why would that be disastrous?
Because you don't know you don't know the oven, you don't know the timings or anything like that.
Oh.
So, and if you make a mistake, there's very little recovery.
This is by no means at your level, but we've just moved into a new house and get a new oven. My good lady makes biscuits, right?
Right.
You know, the
Look at you.
The biscuit. Oh, lucky me. That's why I'm 7 stone heavy. It's the wee kind of designer biscuits, and the wee fondant and tappy it, and it's going to be designed. They look brilliant, they look tremendous. Yeah. We're about a day or two away from her getting our tools out and trying to make biscuits again. She's like, I need to know the oven. I'm like, an oven's an oven, like, to me.
No, it's not.
But
there you go.
I put in my place big time for.
No, an oven's not. So is she happy with the oven?
We'll find out in 2 days. But everything must be here before we go any further forward with the oven.
Did she do it as a business?
It was just COVID. She had to pivot. We had to pivot. The biscuit box.
Right.
So Instagram.
She could use the oven, couldn't she?
She could.
I'm just looking for a wee mate. Send the message over.
Just send them out. Just get them over.
You must be G61 or something like that. That's a big issue.
No, just G33.
You're a stone throw away from me, Gary. But
Royston.
How do you know where he lives, Gav?
Because he put up a drone the other day on YouTube, and it took him over Rob Royston. I said, I know who that is.
Oh, you took a picture of the roofs and all that, the snow.
I got a drone just after Christmas. So,
what type of drone did you get? I quite enjoyed. My mate's got drones.
I got a Mavic Mini.
Mavic, aye.
It's the only one you can fly over. It's the only one you can.
A license.
You know that. So, but officially you don't really need to do it because of the size yet. But it's the only one you can fly over houses.
Oh, right, okay.
Without getting into real trouble.
Tam, you know Tam, Gav?
Tam,
my mate Tam. He's in
Bali.
He's in Bali. He's got a drone. He got a drone before he went away to document his whole experience. And
amazing.
You use it with your phone.
It's you hook up to your phone.
Must be nice.
I actually bought 2. I didn't do my research, and I spent about 150 quid on one, and it was rubbish. It fell out the sky at 100 feet. And it just went, if you put it past somebody's house, the Wi-Fi sends it into their window and all that. So,
the Mavic is very good.
The Mavic doesn't do that. So the Mavic's amazing.
Right. I told you we'd go off on tangents.
Who would have thought we'd be talking about droning?
Did you? I'm sure you've done your research on your drones now, and you're well clued up. And
it's only one to have.
It must have done well in the snow. Done well in the snow.
It was good.
Get a picture of Gav's house. There you go.
Gary, the one of the, I think it's the third last episode when you go abroad. I think, was it Norway you went?
We went to Oslo.
Oh my
Norway,
God.
yeah.
That food looked scary to me. Like,
it was. Again, that was see, at that point in the show, you're making a show. At that point, you're trying to make decent telly and have a laugh because you've made it to the end. And you don't honestly think you're going to win. So you're just trying to get that amazing experience out of it. But anyway, and that also forms part of the kind of wrap party for the crew. Because when we got off at the airport, they all hit duty free and we're buying like cases of beer and all that. And us three competitors are going, what the hell are they up to? We can go to the pub. It's 10 quid a pint in Norway for a beer.
Scandinavian countries, man. Scandinavian.
Oh, it's but anyway, so basically that day we had to cook in this 3 Michelin star restaurant, and the head chef, Bang, what was his first name? Espen Bang. It's about 7 foot tall, and we had a call time of about 5 a.m. So we're sitting, and the idea is with MasterChef that everything's real. So if you see us walking in somewhere and meeting someone, that is the first time we've met them. So as it's the first time that we've been introduced and everything else, it's as real can be. So we were there, I think, about 5 a.m, and we sat there for about 2 hours, and the place was locked. next thing is Espen turns up at a taxi, and we're still outside because we're not allowed in until they start filming. And we're outside. We could hear him shouting to himself in the place, pots and pans banging about. I mean, and he was up there on his own. And we're crapping it. I mean, we're sitting outside this place, absolutely bricking it. And because one of the competitors, she was like into all her Michelin stuff, so she recognised him. So anyway, so it was like another 2 hours later, we get rolled in, we get wound up, and we go in the restaurant, and the first thing he said to us all was, "I believe yous are chefs," because we're the only country that does a professional master chefs. "I believe yous are all chefs," and I was going to say no, I'm a teacher, but I think that
well, I work is. That's why we're here, mate.
But I got on. That was a major kind of turning point for me in that show. And to be honest, it's a major turning point every year in the show. And I always, it didn't matter where they put me. If they put me into a 3-1 in Great Western Road, it was going to be a life-changing experience. So there was a wee bit of playing the game. But for whatever reason, the food really clicked with me. I kind of really got it straight away. I loved the fact that nothing came. There was nothing in the kitchen that didn't come from Norway. Nothing, no chocolate, no olive oil, no lemons, no nothing. Everything had to come from Norway.
How did you do that? Do you just get a feel for these things, or
I don't know. I just liked the ingredients. I liked the challenges. There was 30 chefs in the place as well, with 30 customers. So if you're running the restaurant in Glasgow, there's 3 chefs and 300 customers. So it was an easy. It was an easy shift. You just have to adapt, smile, and get on with it. Yeah.
I think you're saying you've been a people person. You said you found out at a young age you're a people person. So
I think that all of that would have helped. But to be fair, the other 2 guys in the final were good as well. Big Matt, who's messaging me now for something.
Get him, take him on.
Bring him on.
We've never done that before.
We'll send him the Zoom if he wants to join us.
Send him the Zoom, see what he's up to. Not to take light off you. No,
it's fine.
Something we've never done before. That'd be some buzz.
He's a beautiful human being. So we've kept in touch since then. But no, it's
it just clicked for you and done well.
Am I right in saying I don't know what level he was, but the guys, I'm assuming, I forgot his name. Mr. Bang was the executive chef or the owner. Who was his head chef? Was he Irish guy? Am I right in saying?
There was a wee Irish guy.
I found that bizarre. I was like, fucking hell, this guy's Irish and he's a Norway.
But there was
Irish everywhere.
But there was very few Scandinavians in the kitchen.
Oh,
very few. Most of them were English or American.
Right, okay.
And Big Matt, the guy who was helping Big Matt, had applied for MasterChef our year and never get in. So I think Matt had a bit of a hard time.
Silver grapes, man.
I think there was a wee bit of that. But and I was oblivious to all of that because I was away doing what I was doing. And but no, it was an amazing experience, Norway. So it was. Definitely. And then again, another thing I think that helped me is the following day was a kind of a day off before we flew home, and everybody went out and got leathered, and I stayed in my hotel room the whole day, and I wrote my menus for the final. So I was on the phone. I was on the phone to all my suppliers in Glasgow saying, right, what is really nice just now? What's different? What's new? What's happening? And I just got a really good kind of chat on what I was going to do for my final menu. And the other 2 guys wrote their menu on the plane. So
got a wee step ahead.
Why did you phone suppliers in Glasgow?
Because that's who I know. It was all my mates.
You bring your own ingredients.
Do you?
No, but you write your own menu and they get
it's up to you what you get.
But one of my mates worked for a really good supplier in Kilmarnock, Braehead Foods. And
you know the owners of them.
Do you?
They remember your gym that
so
you
they
work
are. They're MacLean thingy.
Aye.
Trained them, aye. Oh, they're beautiful guys. What's their names?
Craig.
Pat and Craig, sorry.
Pat and Craig. Oh, they're so funny.
Craig's owner, Craig Stevenson.
Aye.
So they're so funny.
So I had my mate wandering around their warehouse just talking to me about food and picking bits up. And so at what point did you think you were winning? When this is I still can't believe I've got that.
Are you kidding on?
No. Mental.
Too humble, man.
But Gary, the girl, was it Ellie? Was that her name?
Yeah.
She was like, She was very good. She came from Michelin Star Kitchen, didn't she?
Aye, she was Michelin trained, yeah.
Can we just quickly go over how Michelin Star came about? Do you know? Aye.
It's a travel guide for a tyre company, yeah.
Aye, and the tyre company said, right, if we go this restaurant, this restaurant, if we make the Michelin Star, and then people will travel to there.
They'll use up our tyres. Yep. No, it was a kind of traveller's guide when cars were first invented. And, the meaning of a star is something like worth a visit, worth a detour. That's what it actually means. But it's a proper big deal. I spent 20 years of my life trying to get one, and I was nowhere near ever.
Really?
Well, you might be the first college to get a Michelin star.
Nah, never. My principal would love us to get a Michelin star, but
colleges can't get. Do you not need to sell food to get a Michelin star?
We've got 2 restaurants in the college.
Is that for students? Is that
public restaurants?
Oh, really?
If you change, it's been done up. It's now amalgamated. Is it no? Is it no?
Well, City of Glasgow College has been that for 10 years, but
no, Annie's Land,
no,
City of Glasgow and something
else? No, it's not connected to Annie's Land. It's the old building in Printon, the Central, the Allen Glen, and the Food Tech, and the Nautical College, all amalgamated.
Nautical. Right, okay.
So that's mad, isn't it? So what does it take to be a Michelin star?
Give up your life. Everything. Well, Kale Bruick.
That's right. First female.
Got Glasgow's first star in 19 years.
And am I right in saying she's the first female chef to get it in Scotland as well?
Off I Google.
I think she is.
Might be actually. Is she? I don't know if she's the first female.
I Google it, Kenny. She's
certainly the first female in Glasgow to get a Michelin star.
Maybe
might be. She might well be the first female in Scotland. Lorna.
What?
Just put in Kale Bruick, it'll probably come up.
What is Lorna's surname?
Put in
but Lorna worked at Andrew Fairley's her whole career. So 2 Michelin star, and she was always, she was high up in there. So
amazing. What's the? Do you remember obviously you will remember it, but your finals menu? So you obviously wrote it in the hotel.
I did.
You done razor clams for starters, didn't you?
Razor clams with artichokes and lemon gel and seaweed and all that, and then I did whiskey washed carrots, which is something I've made up. Never done them since. Venison. What else? Celeriac and stuff like that. I think I did. And then I did a kind of shortbread thing with raspberries and vanilla ice cream for the final.
Do you know one dish that really, really, really sticks out for me was when you done the take on haggis, neeps and tatties.
Oh right, aye.
I remember watching that. I think I was like, oh my god, that looks amazing.
Well, that came about. It was one of my mates who's an exceptional chef. This guy Willie Pike. And again, I was on the phone to him the night or 2 nights before I had to submit that particular recipe for that particular show, and and I thought I was like, you need to do haggis, and he's like a really, really well known and well loved chef in the industry, and he's you need to do haggis, and we had did a haggis dish a couple of years earlier for a big chef's dinner. And it was his idea. It was a carved out turnip with just, onions and piped potato and all that on top. So I nicked up that wee element. I did that along with a pigeon with morel mousse, and it went down well. And if I remember, it was a French guy. I should remember. I'm terrible with names.
Did you say that a pigeon something mousse?
Morel. I did pigeon with morel mousse.
See pigeon.
Yeah.
Surely the 3 of us when we think of pigeon, we do not think of cuisine.
George Square. That's what you're thinking.
George Square.
They're on a diet of fagged outs and McDonald's.
Yep. Wee sausage roll, 1 leg.
That's it.
Just. I get it. I get it. Like,
it's not those pigeons. It's wood pigeon from a wood.
I've definitely.
But they look the same. They look the same.
The finalist this week in Celebrity MasterChef is Guy.
George Square.
And he's sitting at George Square with big spears, just trying to throw.
But it's funny actually, because a lot of my eldest son, when the show was on, he was fascinated with the social media impact of it, with what people are saying about me. And people on Twitter and all that are really funny, aren't they?
Oh,
there was one of the lines. There was one of the lines I had on it, and I said, I just want I would just want my meal to make people think they're walking up the west coast of Scotland. And somebody commented, dodging all the homeless and all that sort of stuff. But
especially being from Scotland, like Glasgow as well, man. Oh, it's rough.
But I did all right on all the social. I never get any abuse or anything like that. Big Mac got some because he had a beard. There was a big thing about beards that year.
Oh, really?
And someone had put up a post that it was me, Big Matt, who had a big beard. There was another guy, Brenton, who had a big beard, and it was me in the middle. And someone had done this sort of screenshot of the three of us standing there, and the only thing it said was a young ZZ Top. But, people are funny, but
see on your website. See when you click education,
aye.
Top picture. Is that you without glasses, without a beard? Just
probably.
Do you want me to
Is it? I don't know. Aye, have you got it?
It's his website, so I fucking hope so.
Aye, hold on, I'll show you it. 2 seconds. I just want.
Is it black and white?
No.
Right. All right, that's me.
That's
Jeez,
you.
oh, aye.
Some difference there. Where was that?
That was in Michigan. It's representing Scotland in Michigan. So that was my 2 students. And the boy, the ginger boy with the beard, he was on MasterChef with me that year as well. He was my kind of student who did a kind of wee testimonial that everybody liked me. No, that was and that was only the year before.
Aye.
That was 2015.
Jeez, aye. That's
done well, man. You've done well at everything. Like, where else in the world would you like to cook?
Oh, I don't know. I've been in some crazy places.
You done thing for Asia TV or something like breakfast?
I did breakfast TV in Singapore, which was fun.
Were you over there, or was that
No, I was there. I was over there.
Singapore. It's expensive for a beer there as well.
I've never seen it. I've been to Singapore about 3 times, and I've never set foot in it. I've always just been working. The thing is, I travel the world, and I don't see a thing.
Aye.
I mean, 2019 alone, I worked in Spain, India, Colombia, Cuba, America about 4 or 5 times, Kuala Lumpur, Batam, Singapore, all in 1 year, and I couldn't tell you a thing about any of them.
I just threw you in and threw you out.
I just got in and do my thing. I was in a plane crash in Singapore.
What?
I was in a plane crash in. Was it Singapore?
That was way too.
What's Singapore? It was in Singapore. But here's the deal. So obviously, when you're trying to work your diary out and all that, you're trying to make sure that you're not away for like crucial points in your life, like kids' birthdays and all that. And
I hope you're going to like no plane crashes. I mean, don't mind going there, but
no. But so anyway, it's always touch and go when you're traveling. If you're getting delayed or you get held up for a day or whatever the case may be. So anyway, it was a really whistle stop. It was about 3 days in Asia. I was hitting them back. And I was sitting on the plane. The wife wasn't happy that I'd left in the first place because the birthday party was the Friday and I'd left on the Sunday night or something. You better be back. I says, aye, I'll definitely be back. So I was on the plane, just about to take off, we're taxiing down the runway. And I'm on the phone to the wife and saying, that's fine, I'll be in Dubai in 7 hours and then I'll be home. I'll see you in the morning. And then suddenly it was like, plane just anchored, stopped, everybody's lurching forward.
Somebody was on their phone in the plane.
So I'm actually on the phone to the wife, and she's like, what? I said, the plane just bloody stopped. I said, we're taxiing out and we've just stopped. What's going on? I said, I don't know. 4 hours we sat there, pitch black, 4 hours. And we were stuck on the middle of so anyway, that was fine. So we ended up getting bussed back to the terminal. We then got taxied back into Singapore, and that was that. So I never got home. But when it took hours and hours and hours, and by the time we got to the hotel that we were staying in, we were on the front page of the paper, and we'd ripped the wing off another plane on the taxiway. 2 planes.
Fucking hell.
So I phoned the wife. I says, look, I've been in a plane crash. I'm okay. She's like, okay, you better be here for the birthday party.
I'm interested, Gary.
Not interested.
Just go up the road.
I know. It's okay. I'm alive. I made it. I survived. You know, we could have went up in a puff of flame, but
The plane was still windy.
I missed the thing is, we crashed into a Chinese budget airline, and they were away within the hour. They just shipped them off that plane and onto another plane. I mean, they were in China before we even get back to Singapore.
That's wild, isn't it? It's wild.
But it was on that big massive plane, and there was like 600 or 700 days. And some of you got a text on your phone to tell you how you were getting to Dubai, and people were getting flown to Pakistan and Tokyo and everything before they could get back, because they had to fill the planes. So we went to Kuala Lumpur, which was just up the road. So it was
up the road.
The three.
Just
well, in terms of going to Tokyo or Pakistan or whatever, it was at least it was in a relatively right direction.
In the continent.
So after MasterChef, actually, when you found out, so you came to the final, you got the final day, and you cook a 3-courser, you obviously smash out the bag, and you win. What the feeling? Because we see when you watch the video back, do you think? Can you remember that? Because your face just drops.
Just shock. It's just shock.
Whilst you were cooking all that, did anything go wrong, or did everything fell into place? It was just like poetry in motion.
No, I think it was. Nah, it was all right. It was. I don't know. I just made sure everything I did because I did the wee shortbread biscuit in one of my other rounds in my. So and there's no practice, you know. So I just wanted to do stuff that I knew was safe and secure, and I never thought I would win regardless of what I did. But I just wanted to make sure that I put up 3 courses.
Not one bit of you thought, it's in the bag.
Nah, never
Just
ever.
Too humble, man.
After we got all our feedback and all that, we all get sent away for an hour or so, and Matt and Ellie were saying, you've won this, and even then I thought, you know what, and we all kind of spoke to each other outside and said, you know what, it actually doesn't matter who wins. It's 5 minutes it's 5 minutes of extra telly. That's it. We've all smashed this out the bag, but it does matter.
It's lies.
Of course it matters.
It does matter.
So how at that moment, how does it sort of impact your life from then? Do you just keep getting phone calls and getting emails?
Well, it's filmed 6 months before it's shown for a start, so you get back to work and no one knows you've done it. So I went back and it was all filmed through the summer holidays in the college. So I was in London for 7 weeks.
Are you
and no one knew.
Like, due to contract, can you not tell anybody that you've won it?
I shouldn't be telling you anything now. I'm still under contract.
God's sake. That's just like just a phone call then, wasn't it? I post this anywhere.
No, you're not allowed to say. You're not allowed to tell anybody. I mean, obviously people, my wife knew.
People you can trust not to go on social media just because of social media.
My boss Willie knew. I phoned him.
Do you get a raise? You tell him, listen, buddy, keep me.
No, but you know what I did? I get taken off timetable and all that after the show, and I got a wage rise. And no, the college has been good. Take that back about the wage rise. No, but my job changed, so I had more responsibility.
Amazing.
But as I say, there's 6 months, and again, I didn't enter the show until about episode 10. So bearing in mind, I'm still teaching classes. The students are still coming in the morning after and going, "Did you see that idiot on MasterChef?" and when it gets to the end of episode 9, they show the trailer for episode 10, which is the following week, and you're in it, and you've not told them. So students are going mental. But, you know, so.
With the region that you never told them?
Well, no, not really. No, it's just.
I'd be like,
Did you win? Did you win? Everybody's asking if I won.
Just to keep watching, aye.
And I just used to say, look, tonight's my last episode. Just watch it and you'll find it.
Oh, yeah, horrible.
I get kicked out tonight. All that sort of chat, but no, you couldn't tell students.
But the students must have been they must have been your biggest supporters through that. Obviously, you'd already recorded it, but they must have been rooting for you.
I think it's in a kind of way the college shuts before it really got into that final week. So there was about 10 days left by the time the college shut for summer holidays. The college shuts about the 16th, and that show runs on for about another week and a half. So I wasn't really You know, I wasn't a front runner or anything at that point. I mean, I was doing okay, but so they whatever their experience of it was, they did it themselves. But when I came back to my first class in January, they had decorated my whole classroom with banners, and they got me a cup and all sorts of stuff. So no, it was a nice experience.
Brilliant.
But,
That's amazing.
But it's amazing though. Some people never spoke to me about it. Some people would just wander past you at the coffee machine and not even crack a whip. You know, people that you've known for 30 years, people that taught me wouldn't even say anything. Kind of weird. Weird. But
it's either they're starstruck or they're jealous. It's one of the two.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's certainly no starstruck.
But so big thing, Kenny's girlfriend had said to us earlier on. She said, "Oh, I've got Gary on," and she said, "Oh, obviously she's got a biscuit business."
Yep.
Excuse me. And she said, "We need to get him to tell us some recipes for the big day tomorrow, which is Pancake Tuesday."
Pancake Day. All right.
Which is my favourite day in the world, man. I was never missing that. I keep running there.
What was that?
He's not even finished.
There to hear about this.
All right.
He's not even finished the
Day.
toilet. Pancake Day. What's the go-to pancake dish for you?
Do you know what? I was just talking to my wife, and she'd mentioned it was Pancake Day tomorrow. And do you know what? I love a French crepe.
So they
So
are.
like chicken and mushroom. Aye, thin one.
Savoury one.
I don't have a sweet tooth. I don't have a sweet tooth at all.
See mushroom.
Mushroom and chicken. That would be me.
Cut this. This is
Kind of
mushroom.
a 1970s crepe dish. That would be me. I might actually do that tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to make crepes tomorrow. But I don't have a sweet tooth. But I remember last year I actually filmed Pancake Day because we couldn't, because of COVID. What month is this? We were at the beginning of COVID. Aye, no.
It was already. It was in the news. Everything.
No, I know, but that was the point. I think that was my first filming, was Pancake Day.
Wow.
Yeah. How have you found? Obviously,
filming at home.
Was it weird at first?
It was kind of weird because my daughter's filming me and directing us and pulling me up.
She's not still filming you just now. She's
here. She's putting on social later.
Such a steady hand, man. That hand is unbelievable.
No, she's no. I've been lucky because I had a great kitchen for filming.
Tremendous kitchen.
And the kitchen was built, and the very first day I cooked in it was for an advert. So we were sweeping
for Thingy Homes. It's Miller Homes.
No, it wasn't for Miller. No, I ripped their kitchen out and flung it away.
Did you?
I can tell because
we get tore into Miller Homes just now.
So, but I did a wee bit of filming for Miller.
I did see that. I
got me a garden and some fencing and some electric garage doors. So nice. It was all right.
Nice. Garage doors are by far the most expensive thing out of that advert because I've got rolls of turf here if you want them.
No, I got that redone twice. But the joys of a new home.
Oh, tell me about it. In fact, don't even go to it because I'm going to. I don't want to incriminate myself.
But no, we've been lucky. My daughter just graduated from film school throughout the whole pandemic.
Congratulations!
So she was a student at the college, and part of her, obviously, we went out of college early March, and so my daughter was kind of left. Well, I think all the students were kind of. It was a bit funny.
Area.
So the students then had to film stuff off their own back and pull together enough for their folio. And she just worked with me every day. And we ended up back.
That's what you've got on Facebook, man.
On Facebook,
every Wednesday.
I've not done it in ages, but I do get decent numbers. I've not done it in ages. I'm just sick of lockdown. Do you know that? I just don't want to talk about it. I just want to get back to work. You know,
I'm not the work thing. Right, so this is a weird question, right? So, what was your biggest achievement before MasterChef, and what's your biggest achievement after MasterChef?
Taking family stuff out of it, as in having kids and all that.
Kids, your pride and joy. Your wife's the wife. The best.
I did a lot of competitions as a kid and done really well. As a kind of grown up, I was the chef lecturer of the year for the UK.
Wow,
that's amazing.
So 2015, which is a big achievement. And after that, the biggest achievement probably is becoming Scotland's first national chef.
That's right. I've seen that. Eh?
How does that work?
Don't know.
There we go.
No,
Biggest
it's,
achievement.
no, basically, I mean, there's been talk about it for years, you know, in the press and the Herald and all that. And I always kind of saw it in the press and whatever else, and always thought it would go to, you know, at the time, somebody like Andrew Fairley or Tom Kitchen or something like that, you know, one of the sort of real superstars of the industry. And I was doing an interview after winning MasterChef, and the reporter was in the house, and they said, have you heard about Scotland's national chef? I says, as a matter of fact, I have. I says, it's a great idea for the country and all that sort of stuff. And the reporter said, so do you think you would be able to do it? Would you fancy it? I said, bloody hell, well, I'd never get it, but it would be an honour to get it. And the next thing is I get a phone call from the government saying, here you go, if you fancy it. So it came with a kind of...
What does that entail?
Well, basically it came with a kind of 4-page remit of what they're expecting the national chef to do. And I only do 2 things out of all of that. I volunteer all my time to it. It's a kind of, it's not a job as such. You don't get paid.
But you volunteered before anyway, so that's...
I mean, I do, obviously, since winning MasterChef, I do a lot of voluntary stuff, an awful lot of voluntary stuff. I probably do 10 charity gigs for every paid gig I get. But again, I always keep it to, you know, local charities, always, or Scottish charities, you know, things like Mary's Meals and Marie Curie and Prince and Princess of Wales Hospice, Princess Trust. I do all of that. But basically, I looked at the remit and I'm passionate about kids learning to cook. So anything that involves youngsters learning to cook and food poverty, I've done a lot with things like summer hunger campaigns and that sort of thing.
Cooking for under £5 or something like we're doing, weren't you?
I did again. That was a kind of a social thing for the Daily Record. I did 5 meals for £5.
It's still good, though, isn't it?
So
I think how many people can learn for that.
I know it's just getting, and again, I think lockdowns help with people cooking. I think a lot more people are cooking at home.
Keep you creative as well? Keep you moving with it?
What doing all the lockdown stuff or doing the stuff for £5?
Both.
Well, I mean, that Daily Record thing came in and I said, no, I can't do that. I says, that's not going to work. I says, I can't feed. It was 25 quid. I think it was 30 quid. It was £30 to feed a family of 4 for a full week. And I said to him, I says, that can't be done, because we go shopping, we're spending fortunes. And what I did was I went to the shops and I just bought some nice stuff. And I went to till and it was about 33 quid. And I phoned the record and says, look, we can do this. We can get that on.
Get it down.
So, no, that was a good wee campaign. They ran an advert for a couple of weeks and you know, your mammy loves all that when you're on the telly.
To do something like that, especially the accolades that you've got, man, that's something else. That's something
impressive. Very impressive.
But I've always been like that. I mean, even my book's just full of recipes for the house. I've never considered myself to be a fine dining chef. It's sold out, my book. I think it's getting reprinted. Amazon are saying an April delivery if anybody wants to buy it.
When you do,
I'll be buying it.
When you do an audio, you surely should do an audio.
An audio book?
100%.
An audio cookbook?
Aye.
Is there such a thing?
Well, make it. But you talk people through the recipe.
I've pitched a few ideas for my next book.
Is it audio? Surely audio.
No, it's better than that. What I was going to do was QR code it.
Oh, wow.
So see like little points in the book, you know, how to chop an onion, how to roll a bit of pastry, how to, you know, vacuum pack something or whatever. Just these little tiny tidbits that go with the book. But I'm still waiting to hear.
Video.
And I really, really want to do a Scottish cookbook because I've got a massive following in the States. I mean, most of my life, most of my work, pre-COVID was in the States. So, you know. And my books sell like mad over there. I did a book club on, what day is this? Thursday night, I did a book club in New Hampshire. So 60 people from New Hampshire talking all things about my book that sold it, which was a bit weird.
I bet you it's very strange though, from going from, you know, a wee guy growing up in Temple in Knightswood or Anniesland, and then
it wasn't as posh as Anniesland.
Knightswood used to be the most sought after area.
No, my bit of Knightswood. I was the last street in Knightswood.
You were at the border.
I was a battleground. With Temple on one side and Bordardy on the other.
It's so great, is it?
The bridge, the canal.
But that was the standoff into Western.
There we go, man.
Well, Kenny, we've got one question for Gary, haven't we? That we ask everybody.
Oh, I've got my question. Your question has been important. What's your pet peeve?
Whoa. I don't know. People who don't turn up for work.
That's an easy one.
People that phone in sick. There's nothing worse.
So
Reliability is the main thing.
See when somebody phones in sick and they go, oh, listen, I've been up all night being sick. see a person who's been genuinely honest. But how do you believe that?
Chefs don't. Good chefs don't phone in sick. I've never phoned in sick in my life.
I know, but what if you get diarrhea and you're like, oh, I can't pass on?
You just don't get it. You just
you just don't get it. Just go.
Peeve. I've never been asked that before. My biggest peeve. No, I'm pretty laid back, and I've not had to worry about folk phoning in for a long time, so it's probably a rubbish answer. I don't really.
You told us you were making grown men cry.
I can't when I was a wee boy. That's when I was a wee boy. I've learned to chill. Yeah. I've learned to admit that I don't know anything about anything, so I can just, if I make a mistake, I can get away with it. Homeschooling. There you go. There's a thing that you can lose your temper with.
I say that my big girl's 2. Burn's in homeschooling. She's 2. She can't go to nursery. But my partner's sister, her wee boy's 9. I went, how are you getting on with that? And she went, well, I'm not doing it. I've messaged the teacher 3 or 4 times and nobody's get back to us. Like, how you make homeschool when the teacher's not interested?
Well, we had a bit of that the first lockdown. There was nothing coming for the school at all. And we kind of fought tooth and nail and were fairly vocal about it. The second lockdown's been much better. But when I say we, my wife's been, we taught our youngest to read during the first lockdown. He couldn't read. Wow. Primary 3, couldn't read a word. So we really...
I would done it. Aye.
So, I mean, he went back to school being able to read and write.
Probably a better level than what he...
So, but I think whatever happens, I mean, my 2 youngest are primary 3 and primary 4. And I believe that primary 3s are going back first. So I think they're going back in a couple of weeks. So he's going back himself. But whatever happens, we're still going to have an element of homeschooling with him, just to keep on top of his handwriting and reading.
Aye.
So
you took more a personal approach to that, like you say, because of lockdown. You're more.
Nah, it's hard, you know. And now that the school's actually providing stuff and having stuff they want done and this and that and doing lists, it becomes quite tough. Mm-hmm. But I think if my wife's ever going to watch this, she'll agree. But I'm certainly a more chilled out teacher than she is. But she does all the hard stuff. She does all the handwriting and stuff, and I get to do the research puzzles and map drawing and all that. It's a different kind of thing.
That's you just giving the good lady credit.
No, she and we're keeping school hours. You know, the kids are up early. I mean, I think they're actually over hours, or sometimes they're still in there at 5 o'clock at night.
Oh, so they are. Right. That's
it's the way it is, isn't it?
Surely they get double time once it comes to over hours, man. You give them double time.
But it's this lockdown, certainly in terms of getting some support, I think it's been better. But I think they've all had a chance to kind of get their house in order, so to speak. But
yeah. Apparently, she's making an announcement tomorrow about school, so you must have the inside scoop about.
But this is going to after the war, isn't it? Just whenever, a weekend Sunday. They announced that a few weeks ago that they're going to do a phased return. It wasn't confirmed, and I don't think it is confirmed. But
I think she made an announcement tomorrow about it.
But there are ratings down and all that, isn't it?
There are
numbers down.
Aye, I'm just looking forward to a bit of normality, but
I can't wait.
here's
I've got a booking to Alaska this year. That's my first booking abroad this year is Alaska.
Alaska?
Aye.
Go down a bit of fishing, ice fishing.
Staff, see if you staff whatsoever.
Everybody wants to go to Alaska.
Didn't they?
Everybody.
How when USA bought it, there's something buying no, it's not a country, it's a state, but buying states, there must be something there, man. And the Simpsons movie was there as well. There's a lot about Alaska.
No, so I'm going over to do a charity dinner and a Highland Games. I'm going to do some historical food demonstrations.
Throwing cables? Are you going to throw a cable?
I won't. They will. I go to a lot of American Highland Games. I've never seen the games in my life. I'm always just doing demos or dinners, so I've never seen any of it. The Americans love it. They absolutely love it.
But they've always got a connection, haven't they? Yeah, I know Jimmy.
My 18th grandfather was fucking Scottish.
I know it sounds poncy as fuck, right? But I was in this function. I was at this function in New York, Fifth Avenue. Nicola Sturgeon and all that was there. It was all the sort of bigwigs of Scotland, and there was this young guy, mid-20s, really tall, really handsome, obviously American, and he had the full regalia on, the full kilt, everything, the Glengarry and all that. The only thing he was missing was a feather, right? And it was a smart kilt.
He wore boxers. How dare he?
And I got chatting to him. He looked a bit kind of lost, and I went up chatting away, and I says, you know, is your dad Scottish? You know, because I thought he'd all the gear. I thought, brilliant. And he says, no. I says, is it your grandfather? He says, no. I says, how far back does your Scottish line go? He says, we don't know. We've not found it yet.
That's how far back it goes?
That's how far back it goes. So I presume his name was Mackenzie, or I'm sure he had I can only presume he had a kind of Scottish surname, but they hadn't found the line. But he was so convinced that he would spend $3,000 on a kilt.
He wasn't.
I was standing in a pair of Levi's and a jacket.
He's going to be devastated when he finds out his family are Irish.
Do you know what though? I think about it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. There's no real difference.
Do you think they can like regardless of who you are, they could find lineage? You know that way you get that.
Is it not something? I mean, my son should be. He's a historian. My eldest son. I know. It should be. I think you only have to go back something like 10 generations, and you get 2,000 grandparents. 10 generations.
Wow, man!
Just by the way it branches off. Double.
That's just maths, isn't it? Then, really?
Aye. So if you know, it's that old kind of Chinese thing where you put a grain of rice on one bit of the chessboard and then multiply it up. By the time you get to the last checkerboard, you'll get all the rice in the world. So, but
that's a great fact.
Brilliant. Well, just before I
let you go,
ask you the
best question.
Just before I ask you, where can you tell us where everybody can find out all your information, your website?
Oh, there we go. Media? Good plug. Right. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook is all GMac Chef. My website is Gary Mac Chef for whatever reason. Don't know how that worked out.
Some arsehole took GMac Chef from
whoever saw. This was right at the start when I got my first agent. They did it and then sent me the bill. That's another story.
If you wanted to rant about it,
but probably on Twitter and or Facebook, I've got a kind of chef page. Where I sometimes do, if you look back on that, there's loads of footage of, you know, lockdown videos, and you know, it's probably about 130, 140 recipes, tablets, and all that on there. So there's loads and loads of content on it. Instagram, I'm getting into. I put up a post and you get 22 new followers. I mean, it's so much easier than Twitter. But I'm trying my best. My wife keeps digging me up that I'm not doing enough social, but I just want to get back to work, if truth be told.
just very briefly, if your wife's that worried about, you know, the socials, tell her to join in. Tell her to take part. She can be the social manager.
Facebook changed. You know, I've got a kind of a business page, and they changed it, and it's a bloody nightmare. You know, it's an absolute nightmare. You used to be able just to hit Facebook on your phone, and then you could share it to like your personal if you wanted to, or but it's a bloody, I don't even know what to call it. I keep forgetting about it.
they're trying to force you to make it more interactive. They're wanting you to be.
It's not. It's doing the opposite. Business Suite it's called.
Yeah.
And it's doing the opposite. It's doing the opposite for me on Facebook.
Aye, my good lady, she's on Instagram. She loves Instagram.
Aye.
It's all better for that, just because user friendly. But it's annoying because Facebook own Instagram.
Aye,
And
they're both
WhatsApp.
linked. The accounts are linked.
But anyway,
So,
nevertheless,
the joys. But and again, it's much more natural if you're in the jungles of Colombia and you're doing a tweet than it is sitting in your couch retweeting about something you did in Colombia 2 years ago. Because that's the reality of where we are.
I know.
You know, the most exciting thing I've done this week was the bins went out last night.
more people are enjoying Twitter than ever before.
Twitter is amazing.
But
It's so harsh, but
I like Twitter because I think it's the easiest out of them all. It's dead easy to follow. It's dead easy to post. It's dead easy, you know. And if you get followers, you tend to get followers that are like-minded. But, I mean, obviously, Twitter gets a hard time because of the people that are on it. But it depends on who you follow. It depends on what you tweet. It depends on, you know. So if you follow a bunch of idiots,
You get a bunch.
you're going to get a bunch of idiots back. And I don't see any of that. I don't see any politics. I just see food and travel and education. And that's really all I do.
In football at all? No, just avoid it. Or?
No, I like football. I do avoid it in a social point of view, but I'm a big fan of a very Glaswegian club, which will remain nameless.
Just leave it at that.
One of my highlights was I did the halftime draw. So I did. At said club.
I like Partick Thistle as well, mate. Don't worry.
I know. She's an educator. She's a teacher or a lecturer. It's the only club in Glasgow you can support because the students will ask you, what team do you support? And the only one everyone likes is Thistle.
The jumpy are wearing the night, doesn't he?
I used to, Chick Charlie used to live next door. Do you remember Chick Charlie?
Chick Charlie.
Oh my God.
He was my next door neighbour in my last house for years.
Chick's a taxi driver?
I think he is, aye.
I'm
sure he'll be coaching somewhere. He'll still be coaching.
100%.
Tremendous.
Douglas is a coach at a club.
Is he? Aye.
We can deny up your rattle.
No.
Listen, I've asked him that question. Let this gentleman get to his bed.
I've actually got two questions, so we'll rattle through them.
Why you get two?
Because I've just thought of another one that I want to ask. So, Gary, the main question that we ask all our guests is if you could have one drink and one drink only, what would you have and who would it be with?
Oh.
It can be with anyone, dead or alive.
I'm going to be totally honest.
You want to think about it for a wee second?
No. A can of Tenants.
Yes.
Right? Why not? Be honest.
In the right place at the right time, that can be tasty.
You can't open a pub in Glasgow with Tenants in it. There you go.
Ice cold though.
Ice cold. I can't do warm beer. I'd rather drink water than crappy than cold beer. I've got one of my mates. He's a proper, a right snob when it comes to like beer, and he just rips me for drinking Tenants.
No.
He rips me to death. But
All
I
boys
like
to finish his shift, have 2 pints, then got broad.
I was doing a gig in Coatbridge, again another charity gig. I was doing a kind of demo and dine thing, and at the end of it, everybody was at the bar, and I got introduced to the master brewer at Tenants. It's like my superhero. This wee guy for Coatbridge. He's the one. He's the.
No way, is he?
He's the man. So, and who would it be with?
His details, man. Get him on a podcast.
I don't even know who he was, but that's who he was interested in. He was introduced to me. And do you know who it would be with? Stan Laurel.
Stan Laurel?
Aye. Quickly Google.
Laurel and Hardy. What do you mean, need Google Stan Laurel?
I was going to say Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy.
Oh, listen, hold on. I remember I looked at an article the other day. Was it with a paper done it for you, and it had like your
The Sun.
Aye, the Sun, and your favourite food was haggis. You did it all day, all night. I thought it's a big statement for somebody.
True.
But then it came down. It was like it's all like hero, but the question wasn't in the paper, but the hero, the picture.
Oh, was a question no there?
No, I'm going to see it. I could. Well, maybe I.
It was who would you like to meet, living or dead? I think it was Stan Laurel.
Right. So
back in Stan Laurel grew up in Glasgow.
So the picture, and I thought, is that Laurel and Hardy?
He went to Rutherglen High School, and he lived in Rutherglen. His house is still there. A couple of houses he lived in are still there. So,
Do you know,
and he became the most famous man in the world. He is English.
Lauren Hardy, I knew
he was the most famous superstars in the world for 2 decades. So
I just remember Lauren Hardy had my granny used to have like a wee kind of ornaments. It was Lauren Hardy. That was it.
Rather than statues.
Statues, aye. Big life-size statues.
Aye. Statues of Gary at Glasgow, but no.
But there's one more that I just kind of thought of, and I thought it'd be a nice wee twist on that question. If you could have one main course, what would you have, and who would it be with?
Do I need to change the person?
No, definitely not. If that's who your heroes was in literally in the Sun paper. So I'm sitting at the computer and pause like, wait, I'm reading this thing because I wanted to know.
Doing your research.
I wanted to know if I was definitely.
I don't know. People like Billy Connolly and stuff would be amazing.
Just pure Scottish.
I do like Scottish folk.
Right, so
although Stan Laurel's no Scottish.
You're serving for 4. I mean, course, you've got
4 people.
4 people now? Jesus Christ.
Let's
just get...
If you're going to serve a dinner, man, you've got to serve a main course. Don't serve it for 2, man. That'd be weird after 10 minutes. Oh, this is nice.
Billy Connolly, Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah.
Stan Laurel. And...
Your wife. Good. Great.
Oh, right. Sorted.
The wife. There we go. Kenny saves you there.
And drinking Tennent's. What a mix.
Everybody's got a big keg of Tennent's there.
What's the main course though? What you?
Scottish seafood. Scottish seafood. That was a kids interview I did. That was in a wee kids newspaper. That's why I'm scared of spiders and they're like Iron Man and all that.
What about I saw the video of you serving went out for salmon?
I am a brand ambassador for the Scottish Salmon Company, and they do a breed of salmon called Native Hebridean, and it's the only farm salmon that uses Scottish eggs, and it's a completely different animal to most farm salmon. So best salmon in the world. So
when you hear Scottish salmon comes for there, and
I mean you'll find that salmon in New York, Tokyo, Sydney, Johannesburg, everywhere. They want that word Scotland on their menu. We've got amazing produce.
I love salmon. It's one of my favourite. Did it dye it pink?
No.
I thought it was a thing.
In Norway they might.
No, right. No, hold on.
Is this a whole new rabbit hole we're going to hear, Kenny?
No. Listen, let's just end on that. That's fine.
Not in Scotland. In Scotland, we've got the most regulated farmed fish legislation in the world, without a doubt. Wow. We can't put anything.
No dyed pink, then it's no
dyed. No.
Other places in the world might dye it grey. Sorry, it's grey.
Dye it pink. Well, a salmon's pink because of what it eats. But if it's stuck in a cage in the middle of the North Atlantic or the North Pacific and it's not getting its natural. So, but it's making sure they'll get decent feed. That I've seen in documentaries and on all that, they've got colour charts of what colour they want the salmon, but it doesn't happen in Scotland. So that's why Scottish salmon's twice the price of the Norwegian stuff you buy in the supermarket, in some supermarkets.
That's fine.
There we go.
I was trying to go like very quickly now.
Problem solved. There we go.
But just watch my videos and believe what I say.
I will.
Yes. Like in this podcast, anything Gary says is
gospel. It's gospel.
Apart from the MasterChef stuff that I shouldn't have told you.
No.
I'll make up for it and get everybody to watch MasterChef on Netflix.
Do for it.
It's just, it must be mad to have won that all the years ago and then be getting accolades yet again.
I've still been. It's been non-stop since I come off it. Absolute non-stop. I mean, every day, because what you've got to think, that show's out there in 100 countries, and it's still running as it's running for the first time in Israel or somewhere like that. And I wake up most mornings with a message from somewhere in the world saying, "I just had to find you. I thought you were amazing on the show." It's all over the world.
It's good that people can find you.
I suppose these days with social media, I suppose, if it was 10 or 15 years ago, you would go away and win it. You'd have 15 minutes. You'd have 15 minutes on the telly, then you'd be back at work. But I don't know. You just have to make opportunities.
Oh, that's it. Jeez. Take the good.
I had people phoning up saying that they were my long lost sister and all that. Weird.
No, you didn't.
I did. Aye.
No, you didn't.
I'm phoning my mom. What was this? Nah.
Oh my God, man. That's
no, you did. And I once got a guy. I do videos, right? So people will message me and say, "Can you wish my mother or my girlfriend or something Merry Christmas?" And they want a wee video sent to them. So I do a wee video, and so I did this video for this lad's girlfriend or whatever it was. So she's the biggest fan and all that. So I sent him the video. A couple of hours later, he sends me back a picture. This is my girlfriend's wrapping paper, and it was just wrapping paper with my face on it, loads of my faces on it. And it was like, I started locking all the doors. I showed it to my wife. She's like, "Told you, you need to stop.
Lock up.
Oh my God, man.
You need to stop doing these videos."
Get a safe door as your front door, man. That is scary.
All the doors are locked.
Baseball bats under the bed.
Well, Gary, honestly, I can hands down say, and Kenny will testify, but this has been the most excited I've been for a podcast since watching it. Honestly,
it's not bad for a Monday, is it?
I know.
That's his week topped off, isn't it?
That's my week, guy. No bad. But listen, I really appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure to hear the story and the journey, and I wish you every success. And I will.
No, likewise.
What are you doing for the future? What are you looking to do?
I don't know. Probably get somewhere open where people can come and eat my food.
He's a text or a
quite possibly. But I don't know. I mean, you know, every day I wake up and there's something mental in my inbox, so you just never know. You just never know what's around the corner.
That's true.
You know, and you know, you just don't know. It could be a TV show. It could be another book. It could be a trip to Alaska. Who knows?
That's definitely in the cards.
But it's not definite because we don't know if we're ever allowed it again, are we?
I know. Grounded, permanently grounded.
I mean, I've got gigs in my diary that have been cancelled twice.
Yeah.
I've got gigs that I won't do until 2022 that are already cancelled, and some of them have paid me.
Oh, happy days.
That's their fault.
But it's not. It's contract.
I know.
That's why I've got an agent.
Clever man.
They deal with it. They just deal with all of that, thankfully.
No, all the best, man. And
well, thanks for having us on. It's been good fun. I've enjoyed watching some of your. You've got loads of them, eh? I watched that boy, the boy that's on
Instagram.
No, Scott Squad.
Oh, Darren Connell. He's brilliant. He's class.
Can I tell you, I thought he was funnier on your podcast than he is on the show. It was just naturally funny, wasn't he?
Honestly.
But just last week thing, I got asked to do a cameo on Scott Squad.
Oh, no way.
What, did you know that?
I was in New York. I couldn't do it. I had a job in New York.
That is the Billy big time.
And honestly, I wish I just cancelled New York and I did a day. And the setup was that it was Miko John. Miko John was sitting at a formal dinner, and I got called out for a critique on the food. And he was going to rip me on the food. But again, the show was written, and I just couldn't do it. I think they were quite surprised that somebody knocked them back, but I couldn't do it. I just wasn't in the country.
Yeah, this is getting bigger than we thought it was, man. This is great.
I'm glad to hear you've listened to the podcast as well. That's massive for me.
Or you've had somebody watch the podcast?
No, I watched. Bloody hell! So I've watched them.
Brilliant.
I've watched many of your podcasts than I've watched the telly. So there you go.
That's amazing, man.
Brilliant.
I thought you'd never came on if you watched anything.
Listen, I get asked to do a lot of these. I always double check it.
Smart.
Who are these guys? I might get ambushed. But no, you seem relatively normal.
Amazing. Aye, relatively is the right word.
Put politely.
Right. Cool.
Brilliant, Gary.
Moment of you like.
Aye. Right.
The best.
Of course. Brilliant. Enjoy your homeschooling tomorrow, mate, and wish you all the successes.
Aye, thank you.
Cheers, Gary. See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.